Decar, you mentioned that many or even some of that 100 children plus may be seeing their last meal when they get the snack. You mean the last meal of the day?
And it could be, you know,
Right.
like I said, and that's a tough one because
Right.
we don't know, because like I said, I think we serve a diverse group of kids.
Yes.
Meaning from the economic standpoint. I mean,
Right.
we've got some studies. We do a lot. Our national has pushed us to be strong in numbers. When we say that we serve a family that's from the income level of
Right.
$15,000 to $25,000 a year. I mean, on our membership app, we try to
Right.
kind of, is this stuff happening? So we go
Yeah.
back and see how many kids we're serving in a certain economic group. So,
Right.
so we try to kind of make sure our numbers are good.
You make sure you really know what you're talking about when dealing with the families.
Well,
Absolutely.
you know, and especially when you're dealing with donors. I mean,
Sure.
when you tell somebody you're serving 100 kids, accountability need to be there. I mean, I think that's one of the good things we like about United Way. United Way have always been one of those agencies that's kind of want to make sure that you're accountable for what you do, and I think that's one good thing of having about United Way. Yes.
You said the summertime, the programs today, if you weren't here or hadn't driven down early this morning to be on the show, you'd be rolling into the office. Even as the director of operations, you're rolling in at 7:38, 9 o'clock. You're there, and kids are already there, and they are they're waiting to get in.
Yeah. You know, the time frame, you only can work for 8 and 10 hours a day.
Right.
4 days we're working 10-hour days.
Yeah.
It's one of those situations where some parents have to get to work get to be to work at 7:30. So if I got to be to work at 7:30, I'm going to have to leave little Johnny out at the building. And that's usually an adult there. Some of the parents will just sit and wait for their kids.
Sure.
I drove up this morning. I mean, it was like, I think it was probably 25 to 30 kids waiting to go in.
Son of a gun already. Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Well, you know, so much has to happen to put on great organization. I know you all have a couple of big annual fundraisers that we think about.
Yes. Our steak and, we just call it steak and burger dinner, which
Right.
was, when I first started with Boys and Girls, it was pretty cool to see donors and young people eating a steak. Of course, the steak went to the young person,
Right.
and the burger went to the
adults,
donor.
yeah,
That was kind of funny. You know, the first couple of years I did, I was like, all right, I know you don't really care for that steak. Let's switch. And of course, the kids like, Mr. Brown, that steak didn't taste too good. You want my burger? So that was funny. And then we had a big, I think, a strong move to try to, I don't want to say upgrade it, but it improved our dinner.
Right.
And we moved it to our dinner, Champions for Youth dinner.
Champions for Youth.
Champions for Youth dinner.
Which is coming up soon.
It's coming up soon.
What did you say, the last week?
The last week in August. And
Right.
we're kind of excited about it because I think this year we're hopefully trying to secure a well-known
national recording artist. Wow.
And you know, and has some background with Boys and Girls Club and be able to
Great.
share his story about how Boys and Girls Club impact their life. And
tremendous.
we're working on I think another great champion for youth.
Recipient.
A recipient for the champion for youth thing. I mean, in the past, I know we had.
I saw some of the folks, Jim Clyburn, Congressman Clyburn, Frank Avent,
Mr. Avent,
Dr. Fred Carter,
yes, Dr. Carter,
Senator Hugh Leatherman.
Yes, I mean, and all those guys are strong supporters
Right.
of not just Boys and Girls Club, because truly
Sure.
those folks are just strong supporters of young people.
Right,
I mean, so
right. I know Frank Avent's been a huge supporter.
Great supporter.
Over the years, and I saw the Pepsi Carolina Classic and the history therein.
Yeah.
Clearly his involvement with Pepsi-Cola there in the PD for many, many years. I know he's since spending a lot more time up in Chesterfield County. But
yes, the Classic is another, like I said, one of the two fundraisers we do.
Right.
I mean, and it's a yearly, it's Christmas, it's after Christmas really, a basketball tournament, and I think our tournament has grown in popularity over the years. It's kind of great to see the number of people that's been coming out to see some competitive basketball. Yes.
Who are some of the folks that play in the Classic? Is that teams from the PD area?
We try to get teams
folks from all over.
I know we've had West Florence, we've had South Florence, we've had
your alma mater.
Go Bruins.
Yes.
We've had Chester. We've had King Street. We've had Florence Christian has always been a strong supporter. Tennisville,
right? Good.
Pamplico. Like I said, all the teams in the area. I mean, and we try not to compete with other tournaments.
Right.
But I think our tournament offers a local swing to it in reference to you get to see your young people play next to home. Yes.
Critical. That
yes.
is critical, particularly around the end. That's the last week in December.
Usually the last week in December.
So right around the Christmas time, folks are getting ready to get out there and start playing. And then the last week in August. So two big events, each happened in the last week of a month.
Yes, I mean, and you speak of like teams like Hemingway. I know in the past couple of years, I've seen Hemingway lose one game, and they'll lose that game at the tournament, and it seems like they cut it on, and they'll run out the rest of the year. You know, so I think a tournament like that is a good tune-up for conference play.
You know, some folks trying to figure out how can we really connect with youth? How can we make a difference in them? They seem oftentimes so disconnected. They feel like they really can't connect. Later this week, we've got Bunny Beeson with Wildlife Action,
yes,
who'll be in with us this Thursday as a guest on the show. And when you talk to him, and I can't wait to see him on Thursday, because he does that great connecting. He finds a way, no matter what, no matter anyone's background, he finds a way to connect with them at those camps there. They have the Wildlife Action camps.
Yeah, we partnered with Bunny several times.
Is that right? That's tremendous. And, that idea of connecting. How do you connect? You said you have a couple of children of your own, you and Doris?
Yes, we have two, Tiffany and Decar, of course. And I guess for me, it's one of those things, you can't afford not to connect with young people. I mean, what you do, you got to listen to them. I mean, I know Tiffany probably think my daddy don't really listen. I told her my vision going bad, but I hear extremely well. You got to listen and see what young people are talking about, and say something that can affect them. I tell folk all the time, especially with young people today, if you see a young person doing something wrong, as an adult, the worst thing can happen is that you don't address that issue. And I don't mean. Everybody's different how you address it. But I think when you see somebody doing something wrong, you need to say something about them to let them know, I hear you, I see you, and I care about you. And, you're hearing and seeing it and saying something to them. It's all it's saying, okay, I care that you said that, or even good or bad.
Right.
I want you to know I heard it, and you need to know that I hear you. So, they know people listening to them and hearing them. So I think that's how you really connect. So you see something going on, we need to address it. Whatever it is, we need to address it. Because the more we put it under the rug and let it go by, it's infested, and we need to keep going. So.
And you all do that. Both the part-timers, the full-timers, the volunteers of the Boys and Girls Clubs of the PD area are addressing it head on.
You have to. We were up in Atlanta. The leadership of our organization was up in Atlanta this past week, first part of June, on a leadership training, and our national is getting ready to release a new program. It's not a program, it's a philosophy. It's called Impact 2012. Boys and girls from across the country in the last 5 years, we wanted to grow to be the largest organizations in the country. Now we're saying we need to make sure that we're impacting young people's lives. You talk about addressing issues. One of the issues that they brought up in that training, it was kind of alarming, was the dropout rate. Not the dropout rate, the graduation rate in our state. And then you have folk from Louisiana, Alabama, the region. I mean, North Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi. And to see the numbers that we're not graduating kids at, it's alarming. And as a youth organization, our our national president said we need to be in the forefront of that kind of stuff. Understanding that we can't do it by ourselves. We want to assist schools, districts, any way we can to help improve those rates. And as an organization, one of the things we will try to do is to partner up, and I think we have great relationships with the districts that we work with. Our question is, what can we do to help improve kids' grades and the graduation rate? Because we understand the impact. If we don't, somebody else is going to be dealing with it, and it's going to, it's not cost effective for us to try to let somebody else deal with it. So, so 2012 is one of those movements that we're going to try to be in the front line of, working with school districts, saying what we can do to make a difference. Because those numbers really was alarming. Now you hear them all the time, but when you put yourself up against 6 or 7 other states, I mean, we had people from all across the region. It was a little alarming. I mean,
and to see that South Carolina is at the bottom.
We got some work to do. We got some work to do. I mean, I think that's the big issue. It was a great 3-day conference. I mean, we did a lot of work, but I think for me that was the most alarming issue that came out of it. That there's some work to do in South Carolina, and as a recipient of a South Carolina diploma, a public school person, we got some work to do. We got to change some things, so we're making sure that we're graduating, and not just graduating.
Sure.
We're putting productive young people out of society.
Yes, whether you're active in the Boys and Girls Clubs or not, as a father, as a recipient, as you said yourself, you got to make sure that other kids are.
We got to make sure. And I think it's important that we do something about that.
A lot of folks, I'm sure, want to be involved with the Champion for Youth dinner coming up. Are there tickets that are sold for that, or they just need to call your office and get more information for that event?
I would call the office and get more information, because I do believe we do them by the tickets. And I hate to give out the wrong number, but I think, but once we get the speaker and stuff down, we'll be able to get more information. But yes, we're working
as soon as you'll lock up that artist, you've got a recipient as well, the Champion for Youth, and that'll be announced very soon.
I think, and I think the community would be pleased on who we announce, because I think, and you can see by the past recipients that we try to select folk that really go out, that are there for young people. I mean, they're champions they could really be called champions for the community.
Yes.
Because anytime you're a champion for a young person, you champion the community because you understand the importance of the future.
That's tremendous. Decar, I'm sorry we've run out of time. Thanks so
right.
much for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Decar Brown, the Director of Operations for the Boys and Girls Clubs of the PD area. Coming up next. If you have a child or you know a child ages 6 to 18 that you think can benefit from growth in one of these 5 core areas of the Boys and Girls Clubs of the PD area, think of these 5 core areas: health and life skills, arts, sports and fitness, character and leadership, education and career development. If you know somebody ages 6 to 18 that could really get something out of that, then think of the Boys and Girls Clubs of the PD area. Pick up the phone, 843-662-1142, 843-662-1142. They'll also get you some good information about the upcoming Champion for Youth Dinner, about the big Pepsi Carolina Classic coming up at the last week of December. You need to learn more about the Boys and Girls Clubs. They're making a difference every day. BGCPDA.org, BGCPDA.org. Decar Brown, making a difference every day. Thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thanks for having me.